Hi everyone. I'm just making another live to let off steam again because the weapons are being fired here, here, and here. So it's like a triangular position. It's always a triangular position when the weapons are being fired on you. So I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to fire weapons on me enough to hurt, but not enough for me to start screaming. Because if I start screaming again, then everybody's going to be tipped off, just like they were suspicious around like early June last year when I had that backache. So yeah. Yeah, they've been firing weapons at my head. They did it when I was in London, and it got really, really bad when I was at my grandmother's, and it got so bad that I was literally screaming. I got to the bathroom. I went upstairs to the bathroom and I was literally screaming in agony. And what I noticed is that the worst pain was actually down here. It wasn't in a tooth. It was actually down here where my neck is. I think that's where the glands are. So the worst pain was here. It was pretty bad here, here, and here. But it was worse down there. But what you notice about the weaponry is that it doesn't matter where they're firing on your body. It's always in a triangular movement. 9 times out of 10, it's in a triangular movement. You see, if I have pain here, here, and here, that means that whatever's being used on me is a triangular weapon. It's being used in 3 places at once. So it's like there's a triangulation or a targeting. It's like a targeting position on your body that's being marked, except it's probably a larger position because 3 places are being fired at the same time, like here, here, and here in this case. So it's like a triangular position that appears in your face. And that's for me screaming in pain. Once again, I'm reminded of my mum, because my mum used to scream in pain like that, and I just went numb when that happened. I didn't know what to do. But her screaming in pain like that, it made me realize that she wasn't going through sickle cell crises. When I was a kid, it wasn't sickle cell crises, because I've been through the same thing. Now, I don't have sickle cell. I'm not like my mum. I have the trait, but I'm not like her. I don't have the symptoms like she does. If I do, they're nowhere near as bad as hers. So the fact that I'm screaming in pain in the exact same way she was when it comes to here, and remember this happened back in January when I was just moving out of the hostel as well. It's like a few days before I was moving out of the hostel, I had all this going on, and they really, really hammered me, right? So if I'm screaming like that in pain and my mom's screaming like that in pain, then it stands to reason that neither of us are having sickle cell crises, and that it's actually the weapons being fired at us. You know, it's actually the weapons being fired at us. There's no way in hell that has anything to do with sickle cell. Even though if you don't get enough oxygen to certain parts of your body, because remember, the sickle cell means that some of the blood cells of the body is sickle shaped. So that means not enough oxygen gets to the body. And that over time will cause the body to shut down if you don't take care of it properly, right? So I'm not discounting anything that my mum has gone through with regards to the sickle cell, or because she's been through this all her life and it's always been bad. So I'm not discounting anything. But what I will say is that the pain that me and her have gone through, I've been screaming in agony more than once. I've only heard my mum scream in pain once. That is not a sickle cell crisis. That is not a sickle cell crisis. That is electronic weaponry being fired at by these people. And again, it's always in 3 places because it's a triangular position. It's triangular positioning. So yeah, they've been doing that for the longest. Apparently it's only the left side. I don't believe that. I believe that they're going to fire at whatever place they're going to fire it on. Whatever it is that brings you the most discomfort, or whatever, wherever they can cause injuries that doesn't make it look too obvious, that's where they're going to fire it at. It's about strategy. It's not just about firing it in the places where they think they're going to cause stroke and shit like that. They've got like a whole body to play with. So why wouldn't they fire on your right side? It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, they've been trying to do that today. And they've been doing that all throughout the weekend when I was visiting my dad. And like I said, it got really bad around November the 5th. By the way, speaking of November the 5th, have you noticed that all these like left-wing protests springing up around the 5th of November? Like on the anniversary of Guy Fawkes's arrest or death or something? I don't even think that's coincidence. But anyway, I'm digressing. So yeah, these weapons are being fired on me repeatedly throughout the day. I think it might have something to do with Barry Trower, although I've been talking about him so much, I don't even know if anything's going to happen, because I'm one of those people where I talk about shit and then it doesn't happen. But I think it might have something to do with Barry Trower. And again, I think it might have something to do with the fact that I'm being too calm about the psychological harassment. So when I'm too calm about the psychological harassment, again, that's usually when the electronic torture steps up a gear. That's why a lot of older people tend to go through greater electronic harassment as they get older, because the thing is, at that point, what the fuck are you going to care about, like, psychological harassment? What are you going to care about psychological harassment at that age? You're too old to give a fuck. So that's why, like, emphasis is placed on physical torture. I've noticed that more and more as I've gotten older. I used to think it was because I moved to Brighton and they were mad about it, but now I realize I'm approaching 40. And even though psychological harassment bothers me, it doesn't bother me in the same way that it used to. So there is, as I get older, I can see that there is going to be more emphasis on the electronic torture. There's going to be little psychological harassment here and there, but the more I go through this, the less it bothers me, because I know what to expect. So there is going to be more emphasis on the electronic torture moving forward. But the ironic thing about me is that I seem to do really well when I'm in pain. I seem to do really well when I'm in pain, because every time I'm in pain or I'm limited in some way, or, something goes really, really wrong, that's when I tend to get the most views on my videos. And my views weren't hitting like that to begin with. So, like, you know what I mean? That's the irony of the situation. It's like the more torture they inflict on me, ironically, that's probably when the career success will happen, when everything that I want comes to fruition, because I'm going through all this agony and shit. That's probably when I'll get everything that I want. Like, just when the pain fucking hits. And when I'm limited and when I can't do shit. That's when I'll probably get everything. That's what always happens to me. It's always a big ass loss or a scandal that kind of propels me forward. And it's a bit of a poison. It's like there's poison in the medicine, but I'm kind of sick of that. I'm kind of sick of drinking. No, I don't want to put that out there, but it's like every time I go through some kind of suffering, or, that's when I actually get somewhere. I don't get anywhere when things are too good. And I hate it. I really hate it. Don't like it at all, but that's my life. I shouldn't brag about it. But, I'm not trying to. I don't mean to, but it just feels like I am. I don't want to do that. But that's what happens to me, So, yeah, they've been firing at here again. And remember, it's always going to be in a triangular position. If you're a targeted individual and you're being hit by these weapons, then it's very likely that you're going to be hit 3 places at once, or after you have been hit, there are marks that will show up on 3 places on your body. You know what I think is happening with the directed energy weaponry? I think it's not just like one big laser. I think that's only like one type of weaponry. But I think there are this is just me. This is just me guessing, by the way. I think there are types of weapons out there that can, you know, expand or contract depending on which area of the body they actually want to hit. There could be multiple weapons being fired on us at once. That's always possible. But I also think there are weapons out there that can contract and expand depending on what area of the body they want to hit. So I think there's weapons like that exist as well, where the directed energy expands or contracts. Like if they want to hit me in my eye, then they'll contract. And if they want to hit me in my jaw, then they'll expand to like the jaw level. Or if they want to hit me in my neck, then they'll, it's like the same thing. They'll expand. So I think there are certain weapons that emit focused beams of energy in one place, not expanding or contracting. But then there are other weapons that, according to the target, will expand and contract so that it will be lasers in 3 places. And they'll expand and contract depending on what part of the body they want to hit. So I think there are weapons like that in existence. I'd have to look it up though. Because I'm just guessing, man. I'm just guessing. That's complete guesswork. Because I'm putting it together from the places where my body is being fired at. And also I'm making summations from the marks that I've had on my body before. Because I've had triangular marks on my chest. All kinds of triangular marks. They're starting to fade now. You see that triangular mark right there on my chest? You see, you see the triangular mark there? It's very faint, but it's there, look. The triangular mark right here. With a little bit of, heat energy. So, I'm just making these summations based on what I've suffered before and how I've suffered it. So, that's my summations with regards to how the weapons work. I'd have to look it up again, because I don't know. So, yeah. I don't know how long they're going to do this for. They're probably going to do it for a couple of months. It's usually worse during the cold season because when you literally feel like there's a hole in your skull, the cold wind goes through the injury. So, I don't know how long they're going to do this for. They're probably going to do this for a while. And, yeah, my neighbor's kids have been going nuts. The mother has been, I shouldn't reveal too much of their business, but like it feels like the adults of the family are really trying to hold everything together, keep everything together. It feels like the older kid is trying to hold it together. The younger kid is just going absolutely bananas. Because when I came home, she tried to get to me. Of course I'm not gonna react because, you know, my mom's in hospital. Having the same weapons fired on her that I'm having fired on me, all that shit. Like, my dad is fighting, but he's actually like quite a bit stronger than when I last saw him, but he's fighting. And then on top of that, like, so many of my family members have been in and out of hospital, and you know, the only thing that I could really focus on is trying to enjoy my time, whatever time I could with them. So coming home now, I've got all this on my mind. I've got, you know, all this going on the side of my head. I'm thinking, what the fuck am I going to care about what some little idiot says? But the fact that I wouldn't get upset over whatever nonsense was coming out of her mouth, that was actually sending her nuts. It was sending her bananas. It gets to a point where she usually cries if she can't get to me. It's really bad. It gets to a point where if she can't get to me, if she can't upset me, then she ends up crying her eyes out or going nuts. I was supposed to be paranoid about them coming into my home and contaminating my things, but they haven't done that. It's very obvious that they haven't done that, because if they did, at some point they would have cracked. At some point, if they'd have done shit. So, you know, coming home, I don't think they fuck with my things at all. I don't think they've done that again. I don't think they want to take the risk. I think I might have been wrong about the honey thing as well. I think they contaminated something, but it wasn't that. It wasn't that. Whatever it was, I don't know. I don't think it was that. I think it was something else. I don't think it contaminated my honey now. I'm starting to think they didn't contaminate it, and that it might have been induced hallucinations from the frequency weaponry and the Wi-Fi frequencies. So it might be that, or I don't know, maybe they did do it, but like maybe they only did it at first and then they stopped, or, you know, but they haven't done it recently. They haven't done it recently. So, you know, I get things wrong. I get things wrong. Post-traumatic stress and well, not hallucinations, but, you know, summations from the non-ionized radiation, all that type of shit. You already know that non-ionized radiation has an effect on the brain. So, yeah, they didn't do shit. They didn't do shit when I'd gone. If they'd have done shit, I would have felt it. Yeah. So, yeah, so it's like, again, like, it's not my fault that people have been firing electronic weapons on me. That's really not my fault. But it seems like everybody else knows that apart from that little girl, because, you know, let's be real, okay? Regardless of what those kids did, right? They're still kids. Imagine as a child, right? Imagine as a child, you're hearing elders of your family use racial slurs and talk about races of people in a certain way. So you've been raised to hate those same people, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is that you, in a bid to impress your parents, you start engaging behaviors that are hateful towards those same races of people, or towards those same people, right? Then you see your parents acting up towards that same person, only when you as a child, you turn around and do it. Everybody blames you for what's going on. So you basically acting how your parents act, thinking that that's going to impress them. And bear in mind, they're also doing the same thing you're doing. They're not doing anything that, you know, you're not doing anything as a child that your parents are not doing. So you're witnessing your parents behave like this only when you do it, and you do it to basically impress the family. Everybody blames you for everything. Everybody blames you. Everybody hates you. You go to school, nobody likes you. You come home, everybody's yelling at you for doing the same thing that they're essentially doing. And then on top of that, the person in question that you're bullying as a child turns around and calls you and your whole family murderers. As a child, you and your whole family are being called murderers on top of that. And I'm not done. On top of that, that same person that called you and your family murderers, now there is more and more evidence that not only you and your family have been harassing them, but that they're going through stuff that's even worse than what you're doing to them. And you as a child, you're fully in the knowledge that your actions are facilitating the torture that that same person is going through. And then on top of that, you have to filter through the lies that have been told to you by your family, by the elders of your family on top of that, because it turns out that that same person you were bullying, that same person whose life you were trying to make a misery, that person turned out to be telling the truth, and your family turned out to be the ones lying to you. So imagine the weight of that as a fucking child. All you tried to do was what impressed your elders. So you bullied somebody because it impressed your elders, and on top of that, you know, children, when they get bored, they fuck with people. Yeah, a lot of kids do that. So you're a kid, you're bored, you fuck with people because you're bored, you fuck with people because your parents are doing it, and also you fuck with this person because you can't fuck with your parents, right? And hearing all of this, it's bad enough to know that what you're doing is bad, and you, in maybe like deep down, you enjoy hurting people. Maybe deep down you enjoy hurting other people, especially if other people hate you. So basically you want to hold like an emotional protection racket over people. They have to like you or else, right? So you're the kind of kid who does that, who gets revenge on people for making you feel afraid or for not liking you. Anything that makes you feel bad, you try to get revenge for. Okay, so that's you as a child. That's you as a child, right? But at the same time, you're a child. So imagine hearing that who you fundamentally are as a person is contributing to the murders of God knows how many people in this country. And you're a child. You didn't put yourself in that position. Other people put you in that position. Other people did that to you. They're the ones who told you, you know, black and brown people are bad or what have you, and having slurs used around you. It's not your fucking fault. You're the child. And yet all of these things contribute to the behavior that we're witnessing now. This kid is fully in the knowledge that she could be a bad person. Now, again, she's a kid, so nothing is fixed. At this point, she might have childhood sociopathy. She might, okay? Because she enjoys hurting people. She genuinely enjoys doing it. And then on top of that, well, she enjoys doing it, especially if those people don't like her, or they make her feel afraid. Even if they don't mean to make her feel afraid, it's the same difference to her. So she might have childhood sociopathy. So that's one thing she's got to deal with. And then the other thing she's got to deal with is the fucking mess that her parents landed her in. So she's got to deal with the fact that not only does she have that, or may potentially have that, but now she's got to deal with the fact that not only did her elders lie to her, but the situation is so much worse than she could possibly imagine. Imagine you had all that going on as a child. Imagine you had all that shit going on. Wouldn't you feel bad? Wouldn't you feel like absolute shit all the time? Wouldn't you feel like that? So I don't feel sorry for any of them. I really don't. I don't feel sorry for anyone in my family, or not my family, their family. I don't feel sorry for any of them. I don't feel any sympathy for them at all. But when you get it, you get it. Do you understand what I'm saying? When you get it, you get it. The weight of that's why a lot of these perps went mad. It wasn't just the fact that I wasn't reacting to what they were doing anymore. That's not it. It's also the fact that, when I said all those hurtful things about, you're contributing to human rights issues, and you're contributing to murder, and you're contributing to this. It's one thing to have somebody say that to you out of spite, and it's another thing for it to be true. When it's true, that's a whole different ball game. You can't just write that person off as mad anymore. You can say they're mad, yeah, and it'd be true sometimes. I can act a bit mental, but you could say that person's mad. You can say that person's eccentric, and it would still be true. But that mad person has basically told you the truth about how bad your actions are and what they can lead to. So that's why a lot of my perps have gone crazy. Because, it's not just about me turning the situation around. Spirit has given me a life where if I go through pain, or if I go through heartache, I go through isolation, I go through all the things that would normally make other human beings vulnerable, it makes me strong. That's what spirit saw fit to bring into my life. That's how spirit made me, and it's how spirit made my life. It's not something I can control. All I can do is take full advantage of that. That's all I can do. I can't do anything else. But that is the way spirit has made my life. Wherever there is limitation, lack, torture, I thrive. I can't help that. In fact, I wish it wasn't like that. I wish I was the type of person who could thrive being happy, being joyful. You know, maybe I can and maybe I will. I wish I was that type of person who didn't have to fuck things up in order to, you know, find some level of happiness or find some level of strength in me. I wish I didn't have to be limited in what I had. Like, I had so much when I was younger. I wish I didn't have to lose all that in order to find out who I truly was and in order to find my grace. But that's how my life is set up. So yeah, that drives the perps crazy, but it's not that. It's not just that. It's the fact that everything that I've been saying about gang stalking being a human trafficking effort and gang stalking being, you know, everything that I'm saying about gang stalking being a human trafficking effort, all that turned out to be right. That's the main thing that's driving these perps crazy, because they had it in their minds that they were good people. And I feel like as long as they only thought that it was a psychological thing, or they were only doing it, I feel like they kind of told themselves that as long as it was only this, I'm only making her upset, or I'm only doing this, that they could still convince themselves that they were good people, that they could still lie to themselves that they were good people. I don't think it's being bad people that's actually making them crazy. I think it's lying to themselves about who they are that's making them like that. So it's that's what drives these perps crazy. It's not just about me turning things around. Spirit is turning things around, because that's what spirit's always been fucking doing. Every single time I don't get what I want, I always get something bigger. Bragging. Sorry. I don't mean to. And I'm grateful to spirit. I am grateful to spirit. But that's just my life. That's just my life. There's nothing special about what I do. That's just my life. You know what I mean? But it's like, that's the main reason why me seemingly being able to turn shit around is making these perps crazy. It's not because of me actually turning things around. It's because they know that I'm telling the truth. What they're doing is contributing to murder. What they're doing is Zerzetzung. It's been done in Eastern Germany before. It's led to genocide. And that's exactly what they're contributing to. Genocide, murder, torture. So of course they're going to go crazy. Like, of course it's easier to blame me for, I don't know, being too perfect. I don't know where anybody gets that from. I don't know where anybody gets that I'm perfect, but okay. Like, it's easy to blame me for that than it is for them to accept, you know what, I really put myself in a fucked situation. I could have done something. I could have said, you know what, I'm not doing this. You could have said en masse, I'm not doing this. And then on top of that, formulate a plan to take down the weaponry, or take down, because the thing is, it's all about numbers. The more people decide, you know what, I've had enough of this, is the more they can bring down the system that's actually holding them in bondage. We all could have stopped all this like a long time ago. We chose not to, because we wanted a comfortable life. And it's like, now we have to accept the consequences of that comfortable life. We can't have a comfortable existence like this without some people suffering. We can't. I mean, fuck society. That's just nature. Like, what goes up must come down. And you can't have a world like this. Like this, the foundations upon which this world was built, it is built by violence. They're built by violence. They're built by violence. They're built by genocide. They're built by murder. They're built by conquest. So in order for these people to have a wonderful neighborhood, or, you know, a wonderful white neighborhood, or a wonderful upper class neighborhood, well, genocide's got to happen, innit? But it's the weight. It's the weight of those actions. Why, to this day, the people who benefit from genocide and enslavement don't want to call that shit what it is. They don't want to call that shit what it is, because the weight of that, they have to delude themselves that what they've done is good and right and helping people. They have to convince themselves of that. Otherwise, they lose it all. And it's just like the perps. In order for the perps to do their job successfully, they've got to lie to themselves about what this job is. Got to lie to themselves about what this job is. Hang on. I'm combing my non-existent hair. I love this cut. Oh my God. Okay. All right. So they've got to lie to themselves about what it is, essentially. The more heinous things you do, or the more heinous things you benefit from, the more you've got to cover it up with comfortable lies. Like I said, that's the key to success. So that's why these perps are going crazy. That's why the little girl's going crazy. The full weight of who she is at the moment and what she's done and what she's contributed to, it's too much. So she acts crazy. And it's not her fault. She's a kid. It's not her fucking fault. It's her parents' fucking fault. And yet everybody wants to blame her. Everybody wants to blame the little girl. I don't like that bitch. I don't like her. But she's still a kid. She's a child. Her brain's not formulated yet. There are certain things she doesn't even know about yet. She barely even knows where her nose is, and yet she's having to carry this fucking weight of other people's lives. She is 7. This shit isn't right. This shit isn't right. It's not right. This shit isn't right. It's just not right. You've got a whole family of people. You've got a whole family of elders that have been contributing to this shit, who agreed to be paid to upset somebody for no fucking reason. And yet everybody wants to blame a child. It is pathetic, bro. Pathetic. And the thing is, the childhood sociopathy, they raise that. They raise that. I'm here almost every day. I hear what the fuck goes on. I hear what the fuck goes on. Ain't no adult up there or visiting here have any fucking control over their emotions. They either do too much, they either fucking do the absolute most in trying to make these children feel ashamed of themselves, or they fucking spoil them. What do you think is going to happen? If you can't regulate your emotions, you can't even tell them the truth. What do you think that's going to happen to them? God damn, man. Jesus Christ. As for me, baby, I got my own issues to worry about. Because like I said, I've got people in my family who will flat out deny that these weapons exist. I've got people in my family who are connected to certain subsidiaries of the same companies who are firing weapons on me. So I've got bigger fish to fry over here. And on top of that, there's murder going in my family. My family like the fucking black version of the Lannisters over here. I got bigger problems. All right? Fuck. Damn, man. I've got bigger issues. Got way bigger issues to deal with. And then on top of that, the TI community, full of fucking plants. Full of perps. Full of fucking perps. Got bigger problems to deal with than the fact that somebody doesn't want to accept reality. Much less somebody who doesn't even know what life is yet. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. The daily readings for Empress Justice Tarot, they're going to start from tomorrow. Because I've got some stuff to do today. I hope I'm not too late for it. I've got some stuff to do today. So the daily readings will be up from tomorrow. The weekly readings will resume from Saturday because I usually do them the day before. And yeah, that's it. So peace and blessings, my fellow TIs. I love you guys so much. Bye-bye.